We are ready.
Lovely. Well,
ready when you are.
Welcome very much to you all this afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Sophie Ibbotson. I'm Uzbekistan's Ambassador for Tourism to the UK. And I'm really, really excited to be hosting this event this evening, looking at what's on in Uzbekistan in 2021. I always like hosting tourism events, but this seems particularly special because the clocks have just gone back in the UK. It's cold, it's dark, it's miserable. And I want an opportunity to escape to Uzbekistan. So this evening's event is my opportunity to get on my digital magic carpet and to fly away with Uzbekistan and to think about all of the wonderful things that are going to be happening in the country next year. And I hope that it will give you the same sense of looking forward, because we're all in for a difficult winter, but hopefully 2021 will be filled with wonderful things, with hope and with travel for all of us. This afternoon, or this evening session, is going to be divided into two parts. In the first part of the session, we're going to have a series of talks. So I'm going to invite Mr. Ulugbek Azamov from Uzbek Tourism to give a welcome speech. And then there will be a series of short talks about different events which are happening in the year ahead. In the second part of the session, we're going to have a Q&A, question and answer, so you can ask all of your burning questions, whether they're about flights, whether they're about COVID requirements or anything else that you're wondering about how Uzbekistan is reopening for tourism. And I will ask you to put your questions in the chat box. We will then come to those in the Q&A session, and you'll be able to ask not only our speakers, but also Mr. Azamov, Sultan from the Embassy of Uzbekistan in London, and also our colleague from Uzbekistan Airways. So we've got a wide range of people who will hopefully be able to answer anything that you want to know about Uzbekistan and tourism in the year ahead. So without further ado, I would like to pass over to Mr. Ulugbek Azamov, who is the Deputy Chairman of Uzbek Tourism, to welcome you all this evening.
Thank you, dear Ms. Ibbotson, dear participants of today's meeting. First of all, on behalf of the State Committee for Tourism Development, I would like to thank you all for participation in today's event and organizing this event, and especially your efforts to promote Uzbekistan. Unfortunately, COVID-19 pandemic has caused serious damage to tourism all around the globe. And Uzbekistan is also very much affected by this, especially the tourism industry. So since the beginning of the pandemic, the government of Uzbekistan has taken immediate and strict measures, strict quarantine measures against the spread of the coronavirus, as well as special measures directed at supporting the tourism industry through financial and credit instruments, tax holidays, subsidies, and other forms of support. We are paying great attention to security issues, to safety of tourists. We believe that it is, like in many countries, it is vitally important to ensure safety of tourists, and the new norm in tourism will include strict measures directed at ensuring safety of tourists. So we have started a new project called Uzbekistan Safe Travel Guaranteed, which has been successfully announced in UK by the help of our ambassador as well, tourism ambassador. And this is a system of sanitary and epidemiological safety measures which are required by any object that would be serving international tourists. Besides that, we believe that we were receiving and we were seeing significant boost in tourism arrivals. We were at the forefront of foreign media, and during the last 3 years, ending in 2019, international visitor arrivals nearly tripled. and it exceeded actually 6.7 million tourists in 2019. Unfortunately, this year we will be seeing much less, and it could be 2 million, it could be a little bit more than that, but it's still a small number. It is important to mention that the industry itself was preparing for a significant increase this year as well. According to our expectations, we were hoping to receive from 7.5 million to 8 million tourists. And during our visits to the regions of Uzbekistan, we could see the real interest among entrepreneurs, among other sectors which are supporting tourism. That tourism is already a big part of the economy of Uzbekistan, and it is now unfortunately being felt by the businesses. So they now really do feel that because of tourists, many industries were successful in the last year. One of the industries, one of the sectors to mention is handicraft production, and we know that it has tourism has become a reason for revival of some handicraft production. I'm not mentioning only ikat and others, but other traditional handicraftsmanship that was getting actually maybe less attention or getting lost. So what will happen in 2021? Hopefully, first of all, we are hoping that the situation with the pandemic will ease. However, all the foundation work that has been done during the last year, during this year, will give us an opportunity to host significant number of tourists, to offer them various types of services, and one more area that I would like to stress, that we are hoping to see a significant increase in number of flights, especially from the next year. Even during the pandemic, we saw a few new destinations being opened, few new airlines entering Uzbekistan, like Air Arabia or Skat Kazakhstan. So we hope that with the revival, after the fully opening borders to tourism, we will be able to complete our negotiations with foreign airlines, and we will see significant increase in flights, and which will support tourism first of all. And once again, I would like to thank you for organizing this event, and I will be open to your questions after the first session. And thank you very much, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ulugbek. I would now like to ask Zarina Ableva from Navoi Tourism Department to talk to us about the Nurli Navolar Festival, which is going to be happening in the Nurata region. Nurata city of Navoi region in Uzbekistan next year.
Hi everyone, I'm Zarina. I'm from the Department of Tourism Development of Navoi region in Uzbekistan. Today I'm going to talk about the International Folklore Festival, which is called Nurli Navolar. The festival is held in the Nurata district of Navoi region. The location of the festival is in the historical complex of Chashma that has a rich historical heritage, which can attract the overwhelming majority of tourists from all over the world. You know, the International Folklore Festival is one of the most essential events that can promote the folklore and the art of the singers. That aim is to educate young people, as well as the duration of the motherland. This is due to the fact that the main purpose of the Nurli Navolar Festival is to promote tourism among Uzbekistan, as well as increasing the sense of patriotism in the heart of the Uzbek people. This festival, you can see the vast majority of candidates that can attend from all the countries, especially Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and so on. More than 30 countries such as Germany, France, Korea, China can visit here to celebrate this kind of spectacular events. And at the beginning of the festival, the participants of the festival can put the flowers at the foot of the statue of Alisher Navoy, with the paying tributes to the image of the Sultan of the Ghazali. And also, festival helps to demonstrate the tourists the values of the culture of the life of Uzbek people.
Thank you very much, Zarina. I can say for myself, although I haven't been able to go to the festival, I have been on a number of occasions to Nurata and to the Chashma, the shrine built around a sacred spring. And it is one of the most beautiful cultural sites in the Navoi region. And although it is actually very close to both Samarkand and Bukhara, it's an area of Uzbekistan that gets very, very few tourists. When you do go there as a tourist, actually the only other people you're likely to see are pilgrims who have come to the shrine, either to have to pray, or in some cases to have wedding photos taken. And so it's a very special place with a huge amount of history. And I think it will be the fantastic backdrop, a fantastic venue for a cultural event of this kind. And I hope that many tourists from the UK and from other countries will be able to go there when it takes place in May. Our second talk this evening is going to be very, very different indeed. I've asked Sanjar Hilmuradov from People Travel to talk to you about the Stihia Festival of electronic music, which takes place in Karakol, Pakistan, close to the ruins, that's not quite the right word, but close to the remains of the Aral Sea. Sanjar, would you be able to talk to us now?
Yep. Hello to everyone. Thank you very much, Sophie, for inviting me for such a great event, and which is very important for all of us at the moment. So I would like you guys to watch our Stihia Festival video postcard for 2020, but unfortunately because of the pandemic it did not take place. So it's better to watch the video while I'm talking instead of watching me. So let me tell you a little bit about our Stihia Festival. Stihia Festival is an independent electronic musical festival, quite non-traditional for Uzbekistan and typically not typical for Uzbekistan festivals which are being carried out. The idea of the festival belongs to our friend Ulugbek Azamov, who gathered our team and put us to work together to run this project. There are many electronic festivals, as you know, around the world, which are like such as Burning Man, Africa Burn, Element, and etc., etc. But Stihia is a little bit different. Yes, we are inspired by the Burning Man, Africa Burn, and other electronic musical festivals around the world. But things which makes us different is that we're the only one in Central Asia, and as I assume, we're the only one in ex-Soviet Union countries too. And it's the only festival with its own ideological and humanitarian aim, first of all. Stihia means force of a nature, and Moynaq was chosen with a special purpose, not just like that, as it was formerly a big fisherman's industrial town, which is unfortunately nowadays surrounded by desert and faces ecological catastrophe, right? As many of you know. Unfortunately, Moynaq is not being visited by many tourists, and it's hard for him to compete with very famous Uzbekistan cities like Samarkand, Bukhara, and Khiva, although there are things to do in the city, but it does not benefit a lot from the tourism industry. There are tourists who do visit the city, but it's not as much as city would like to have. And in my consideration, it's a little bit unfair to this city as well, because it do deserve to be being visited. So we're with the Stihia Festival, we're trying to bring these little happy moments for Moynaqi people, organizing our festival events in this place so people can sell their handicraft souvenirs, do some street food. Festival attendants stay overnight at the locals' houses. They visit museums. Actually, there are two museums in Moynaq. One is for Aral catastrophe and one is for local lore. And also some of the festival attendees take tours to Aral Sea from locals, which go to the Aral Sea, the present sea, which is situated now 150 kilometers away from the export city. Our main idea with the frames of the festival is to raise the awareness of people about the Aral Sea catastrophe and human madness. And we're trying to bring some new ideas for regional improvement on how we can make things better. That's why our festival is not only about electronic music and the partying, it's the combination of several projects where we bring together musicians, artists, scientists, entrepreneurs, as we believe that people interaction on our festival will come up with some great new idea which can be implemented to prevent the Aral Sea catastrophe or make things much better than they are now at the moment, right? In the frames of our festival during the daytime, when the music is not being played and the attendees are on their own, we carry the workshops. And our speakers carry the seminars for festival attendees on how different aspects of human activities can impact on our present and future. First festival was carried out in 2018, and it was fully on our own enthusiasm. Uzbektourism governmental bodies did support us a lot, but as in fact nobody was expecting something a lot out of this festival, and there were many actually also skeptics and critical views about our festival. But when we did it, when we carried it out, we never expected that Guardian, Times, Al Jazeera, Lonely Planet will write about us. And they were among the first who wrote about the Stihia Festival in general. And when we saw it, when we read about ourselves in these such a world famous publishers articles about ourselves, we understood that we will keep on going and we will carry this festival annually each year. And in 2019, we carried the festival for the second time with the great help of the Uzbektourism international organizations, with the help of the governments of Karakol, Pakistan and Uzbekistan. And it went really perfectly. On our first festival, we gathered about 10,000 people. So we were expecting much more, and with your help as well, Sophie, you know, we've been in contact on how to carry this festival and do some improvement as well. You've been given us a lot of advices. Unfortunately, the pandemic stopped this festival, and we expect to make it in 2021 in May. So 15 of May will be the third festival of Stihia in Moynaq in Karakol, Pakistan. And all of you are welcome, and please come and see different side of Uzbekistan as well. It's not only about traditional traditions, and it's not only about the monuments and history. It is something about new traditions and new wave, how we're trying to show Uzbekistan is being changed in nowadays. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. I was very, very keen for you to talk about Stihia because, as you say, it's something completely different from everything else that Uzbekistan has to offer. And when I've talked to people about the Stihia Festival in the past, people have often been very surprised. It's not what they expect to see from Uzbekistan. But it's very important that we can showcase the diversity of Uzbekistan and the culture it has to offer, because there is a thriving music scene in all sorts of pockets across the country, including electronic music in Tashkent. And with the festival, we not only get to see that aspect of the very creative youth culture, but we can also spread it, the culture and the tourism, into new regions of Uzbekistan. Karakol, Pakistan does not receive the number of tourists it deserves. It has some fantastic sites, and this is a really good way to bring attention and people to the region for the festival. And hopefully they will then go back, tell their friends, and more people will come to visit that part of the country in the future. Our third speaker this evening is Mr. Jamshid Safarov, and he is going to speak about a couple of events for us including the Samarkand Half Marathon, which is a new sporting event for Uzbekistan, which has just begun in the last couple of years.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Sophie. Yes, just to continue the trend given by Sanjar, I would also add another two relatively new events in the cultural calendar of Uzbekistan. And actually one of them, everybody here and your friends can attend already this weekend on Sunday, 1st of November. It's a Samarkand Half Marathon, which is a charity run organized by the Arts and Culture Development Foundation of Uzbekistan with a number of other organizations locally and internationally. So, and they started this new tradition last year when in early November, thousands of enthusiasts, officials, celebrities, and professional sportsmen ran this half marathon, passing by all those iconic sites and architectural monuments in Samarkand. But why we call it a festival? Because it's not only about the run itself, it's a whole bunch of different and various events which are organized during the weeks before and after the half marathon. And they include the different types of masterclasses, lectures, seminars, trainings, but all these programs with one mission. The mission is to raise awareness or public awareness about the problems related to culture and arts inclusivity, especially for the people with needs, with special needs. This year's focus is specifically on people with autism, and specifically with children with autism. So that's why there was a number of different events already organized by the international partners, which provided lectures and seminars and trainings for example, for parents of children with autism, for specialists, educational specialists, take carers, and etc. And it's remarkable that among those international partners, 3 are actually major British and very respectable institutions, including the National Autistic Society of the UK, British Museum, and the Manchester Art Gallery. So it's a significant event in our calendar, and I would like to ask and call everybody to join and register this year, because this year the run will be virtual one, online. So you can easily go to the website, which you see now on the screen, samarkandhalfmarathon.uz, register, which is very affordable. It's only less than $2 US, and choose one of the 3 options. It's a virtual race. So you download the app, which tracks the miles which run in your own location, whenever it is, as a park, pavement, or forest. And the second option is a Nordic walking. And the third, if your kids would like to join this noble effort, they can run their own race for the under 12s. So, and you can add your own contribution to this effort, but please take it into account that next year, hopefully, it will return to the physical stage. So come back, we can return to the main page. And you can plan your next trip to Samarkand in early November. Please plan at least 3-4 days to spend here in our city. So you can dedicate 1 day for the marathon and another 3 days to see all the monuments and maybe go around to the nearest mountains, which are simply very beautiful in this time of the year. The second relatively new event in our cultural calendar called the International Maqam Forum. Maqam, spelled as M-A-Q-O-M. If speaking very briefly and simplistically, it's one of the genres of traditional Central Asian vocal and instrumental music, but it's too simplistic. because in fact, it's really deeply sophisticated art, really very closely related to the spiritual traditions of Sufism. And in fact, it reached its excellence two centuries ago in the royal courts of Bukhara, Khiva, and Kokand. So that's why hence there is three main schools of maqam. And maqam singers and instrumentalists are highly professional people with their own school of teaching and their own understanding of the deeply codified rules of maqam. It's very complicated codifications. There are, for example, specific maqam parts which can be performed only on the specific times of the day. Some maqams can be as long as 3 hours. So it is very popular because maqam performers usually use verses and poems by the great Tajik, Uzbek, Persian, and Turkic poets like Rumi, Jami, Navoi, Mashrab, Hafiz, and others, which were always popular among people in Central Asia. So maqam was always one of the favorite genres of Central Asian art. But alas, during last few decades, younger population attention and appreciation of this genre has weakened. So that's why our president Mirziyoyev, 2 years ago, initiated this new festival, which is held in a very picturesque town of Shahrisabz, which is proud to be the birthplace of great Tamerlane. It's only 1 hour drive south to Samarkand. It's a beautiful place. Sophie knows it very well. And Maqam Festival held during the first week of September. And along with concerts by the stars of Maqam from all Central Asia, there are also the competition for international participants with money prizes and lots of different events, including the crafts exhibitions, traditional folklore performances, other interesting things which are very attractive for the general public, and especially for the foreign tourists who would like to see the authentic culture of Central Asia. And for example, 2 years ago, during the first forum, our Italian group, just by chance, come across in the street was a really prominent Uzbek singer, Ozodbek Nazarbekov, who happens to be at the same time our Minister of Culture. And Mr. Nazarbekov, meeting our Italian tourists, greeted them by singing the maqam and challenged them to reply. And of course, being Italians, they replied by some operatic performance. So it's really interesting experience. This year, unfortunately, Maqam Festival didn't happen because of obvious reasons of pandemic restrictions. But at least you have time to be prepared for the next Maqam Forum, together with a voice coach, to be prepared for the challenge, or at least take it into account when you will tailor your next tour or first tour to Central Asia. If you need advice, you know whom to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jamshid. And I will say, visiting either Shahrisabz or Samarkand at any time of the year is always going to be a fantastic experience. But to have the added experience of the music festival or of the marathon just adds something else to the experience. Unfortunately, 2 of our speakers were unable to join us this evening. So I just wanted to mention 3 other events which are going to be happening in Uzbekistan next year, which you may want to make a note of on your calendar. The first of these is Navruz, which is the ancient celebration of New Year. And obviously the New Year takes place every year in Uzbekistan, with or without COVID. So we can guarantee that Navruz will certainly be celebrated in some way, regardless of the pandemic situation. It is always on the spring equinox, so at 21st of March, and there are usually celebrations several days either side, with feasting, with family events, with costumes, with dance and with music. And so it's a very interesting time of year to be into Uzbekistan, to celebrate the arrival of spring, but also to see an aspect of the culture which dates back thousands of years. The Navruz is often referred to as the Persian New Year, and it's a celebration which was celebrated all across the Persian or what would have been then the Persian-speaking world. So Iran, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and so on and so forth, and even in places in India. So it's a pre-Islamic festival and something which has got very ancient roots within Uzbekistan. The second festival, which I think I should certainly mention to you, is the Sharq Taronalari, which is the International Festival of Folk Music, which takes place every other year in Uzbekistan at the end of August. That is based in Samarkand, and they use the square of the Registan as the stage and the venue for the music festival. There will be fantastic performances from acts all across Uzbekistan, but also internationally, and it really is a fantastic opportunity to see some of the world's best musicians and dancers perform, as well as, of course, to see the sound and light show in the Registan and the fireworks which happen as well. The third and last festival that I'm going to mention that you should keep an eye out for is the Kokand International Handicrafters Festival. This took place for the first time in 2019 and will be happening again, we hope, in September 2021. And this brings together artisans, not only from Uzbekistan, but internationally, to showcase their work, but also to learn from each other. In 2019, we were very fortunate to have the president of the International Handicrafts Association there as the guest of honour, which shows the prestige of the event. And so it's a very important opportunity not only to see the very best handicrafts which are produced, but also for artisans to learn from one another, to network and develop their skills, whether that's in textiles, in ceramics, in metalwork, woodwork, so on and so forth. And in addition to the exhibitions of handicrafts, there are also performances of music and dance, and again, fantastic opportunities to see the costumes from all of the groups presenting there. Right, without further ado, I think we will move on to the second part of our event, which is the question and answer section. If you would please put your questions into the chat, and then I will ask them in turn, and if you can either mute yourself or Sultan can unmute you so that you can speak, and then mute yourselves again. So you'll be able to ask questions of any of our speakers who you've heard this evening, but also I would ask Mr. Ulugbek Azamov, who's the head of the tourism department at Uzbekistan Airways, to join us as well, because I expect people will also be interested to hear what the airline is doing, given that we all want to get back to Uzbekistan as quickly as possible. We have a first question. I will have a question first of all then, and this is a question for Ulugbek. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but do we have an indication of when the flights from London and from other European cities are likely to start again to Tashkent?
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Ibbotson, to inviting for this conference. To Europe at the moment, we have one weekly flight to Frankfurt, departing from the Frankfurt airport each Thursday. But regarding the Great Britain, for at the moment, Uzbekistan Airways not planning to start operations until end of 31st of December. And I hope the flights will be renewed between UK and Uzbekistan from the March that we are planning, because at the moment, you know, this COVID-19 hurt too many airlines, big airlines, including Uzbekistan Airways, that we had to take necessary measures. Therefore, at the moment, we keep only one destination in Europe, Frankfurt, as a hub. So the passengers coming from EU or Great Britain, they can use our flight via Frankfurt. Now we're operating to also Istanbul, a daily flights to Almaty, to Bishkek, and we have flights also to Moscow and St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg. But for the Great Britain, for UK, till end of the year, at the moment we don't have any plans to start operations, unfortunately.
Well, it is good to hear that there are flights on the horizon, even if we have to wait a little bit longer. And it will be a good way to start the new year with a flight out to Uzbekistan. I shall probably be one of your first customers.
Yes, you're always welcome.
We have another question for you from Megan Eves. And Megan says, what is the experience going to be like on board for social distancing? And will you have flexible booking and removal of change fees if there is COVID disruptions with the flights?
Yeah, at the moment we have taken new rules for the boarding and on-board operations. It's first of all passengers coming to Uzbekistan, they must hold PCR test, negative COVID test. And after exception, such passengers with negative results, we put all the passengers as boarding the passengers as usual. And I can send some, link to you where there's all the security measures that passengers must wear the mask all the time. And in case if some passengers feels, fat or fever, we block like 3 rows at the aircraft to isolate such passengers. I understood, right, your question?
Yes, that's right. Thank you very much. That's a very thorough.
But measures are very in in international standards. All the measures, both in airports and both in the onboard.
Lovely. Thank you very, very much. Yeah. We have 2 related questions here from Atitosan at IndiGuide and from Fidels Melibayev. About the dates for the festivals and whether they can be made available. There is also a comment here that often the dates of the festivals are announced quite late, which makes it difficult for the tour operators. And so I would ask Mr. Ulugbek Azamov whether the dates for the festivals can be made available on the Uzbekistan travel website so that everybody knows as early as possible when they're going to be
Absolutely, we know about the problem, and the question is very, very correct. And we unfortunately we have seen the cases when due to most of the events being the first time, so the planning has not been up to the levels when tour operators could plan and include the festivals to their itineraries. We have a calendar of cultural events, and we're trying to put those festivals, especially the ones that are being held second, third, or many times. So they will be available online on the calendar, and it will be confirmed beforehand. Obviously, the pandemic has shifted most of the dates, especially during the first quarter of 2021. We have to take that into account. But overall, we are aware of the problem, and we have a solution in the form of a national calendar. So we will make sure that all the festivals, especially the major ones, will be available beforehand. The dates will be so that they could be booked beforehand.
Thank you. That is excellent to hear. Now, you and I previously have spoken about the national parks and the adventure tourism and ecotourism in Uzbekistan.
Yes.
There is a question here from Steve Newman, and he asks, how do you see the development of specialist bird watching and wildlife holidays progressing? And linked to that, do the different eco zones, forests, mountains and national parks offer excellent opportunities?
Yes, let me start from the second question first. They do offer excellent experiences because they are untapped. Let's say like that. For Uzbekistan, diversifying the tourism product, diversifying the services is of utmost importance. So we are obviously blessed with the historical and cultural monuments, but we understand that tourism has to be offering different types of tourism, and especially we have. I can say that I would be lying if I said that we are utilizing the potential of the forests and the ecotourism objects, but especially now, recently, Mr. President himself held a meeting and gave orders to develop tourism, ecotourism along in the reserves, natural reserves in the forests. So I can give you a few examples, like Ceyran Reserve in Bukhara, for instance. It's a reserve of Ceyrans, which is unique in Central Asia, and there are few in Turkey. I've been to one, but it is question of offering services to tourists. So it's question of infrastructure. So our Committee for Ecology or Forestry Committee now they are working together with the Tourism Committee with regards to creating special, let's say, visitor centers for tourists. So information center within the ecotourism objects, and the infrastructure that will make it possible to sell tickets to do bird watching. I've been to many of you have been to Sudochi, and you know the potential there. So we are trying to create a bird watching bird watching services there. So yes, they do offer a good opportunity to. They will offer good experience, and we are working on this area, and especially now with the approval of the president regarding development of ecotourism in the forests and the ecotourism objects. So I believe it will be moving fast. So we will be receiving help, because tourism, as you understand, it's not only about tourism committee. So with regards to developing ecotourism potential, we need help from the forestry, we need help from the ecology committee. So we are receiving that now. So hopefully we will have few opportunities there, and we have a project with Sophie as well, and I didn't forget about that in Samarkand region. So we will be pursuing that as well. So,
well, this is fantastic news, because particularly in a sort of post-COVID-19 travel environment, ecotourism and adventure tourism is going to be hugely important, as people want to have social distancing, they want to be outside, and Uzbekistan has great natural resources that we can capitalize upon. Our next question is from Hazel Kennedy, and I would like either Jamshid or Sanjar to answer this. And Hazel would like to know about the accommodation. She says that when she travels, she likes to stay in hostels and smaller accommodation places so that she has the opportunity to meet other travelers. And she wants to know if there are plenty of places like this, or whether she will be restricted to hotels.
Should I start?
Either of you, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Hazel, for your question. Yes, of course, there is a variety of choices of accommodation in Uzbekistan. As Mr. Azamov already told that the tourism industry in Uzbekistan really got the boost during the last 3 years, and it's multiplied. So it also gives a real positive impact for the local private initiatives. So there is a lot of hundreds of new family guest houses, hostel types accommodations both in Tashkent, Samarkand, and other major cities of Uzbekistan. But also there is an emerging number of better quality, let's say, 4-star and even 5-star hotels. Of course, most of the 5-star hotels are in Tashkent, still concentrated in the capital. But there are a number of new projects in Bukhara and Samarkand, and hopefully in next couple of years, we will see both big brands, international brands, and local new projects with high quality accommodations in all cities of Uzbekistan. So shortly speaking, it's very versatile choice, and both in terms of budget and in terms of the style which you would like to be accommodated. There are authentic style, especially in the family guest houses, but there are also modern or business style hotels as well.
Thank you, Jamshid. Sanjay, I will pass the next question from Maria to you. She would like to know about two things. First of all, what you recommend for information and research about a trip to Uzbekistan, where you can find that information, and also to say something about the food. She makes the point that her life and work revolves around food. So if you could tell us a little bit about that, Sanjay, that would be great.
Okay, thank you for the question. I would like to answer briefly. So there is a Uzbekistan.travel, a big portal about traveling to Uzbekistan and about the travel companies as well. So you can find a lot of useful information on that web page. But unfortunately, there is no one single portal at the moment. I know that few are being under the development, and they will be implemented soon in the web. But there is no such a portal where you can find all of the information at once. But there are web pages of some travel companies who do offer some of the most of the useful information, where you can search for the airlines, train tickets, and etc. as well. But as a one big portal at the moment, it does not exist. But it will come in next year, because I know few people are working on such kind of portal, and it will ease not paying a lot of effort in the future and working on these on the research while you travel to Uzbekistan. Regarding the food, Uzbekistan I would consider one of the best destinations as a food tourism. I may say that the variety of the foods is very big, and as some of you know who have been to Uzbekistan, each region has its own special food, has its own style of bread. So you can try doing master classes of cooking in each region. You can try on cooking different type of food, and yes, it is worth of traveling. And you can even do these food tourism, gastro-tourism, and for sure your travelers and yourself, you will enjoy it a lot.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. I'm going to pass the virtual microphone now back to Mr. Azamov, because we have two questions for him. The first is from Megan Eves, who points out that obviously you share your name with Uzbekistan's very famous astronomer, Ulugbek. And she asks if there are any plans to develop stargazing and astrotourism, so night sky tourism in Uzbekistan at the moment, because Uzbekistan has not only a very good dark sky, but it's also an excellent socially distanced activity.
Yes, so I just mentioned that about the project in Surkhandarya, where we have a plan. It is obviously a new area for us, new area for tourism in Uzbekistan, but we are working on complying with the requirements of, let's say, dark sky tourism, and ensuring that applications would be up to the standard. But yes, we do plan, we are working on it, and we understand the importance, and we know that Uzbekistan is well situated in terms of geography for dark sky tourism. And obviously, in such new areas of tourism, we obviously need help from the private sector as well, who see the demand. But yes, we are planning, and hopefully soon we will be adding at least this year one big destination, which is also part of developing ecotourism as well, because they are, I believe, interlinked. So yeah, hopefully we will be working with Ms. Ibbotson with that. And
I would also say that Uzbekistan needs Megan's services on this, because Megan is a particular expert on dark sky tourism.
I see, great.
And a delegate to the International Dark Sky Association. So she is definitely the person for you to be speaking to. A second question for you from Atitosan at Indie Guide. And he asks if you are considering running smaller festivals each year throughout the year. So for example, small festivals of food, of music, Festival of Silk, handicrafts, and so on and so forth. Will there be those small events in high season for tourists?
Well, I mean, just a few days ago, we held a kebab festival in Tashkent, for instance.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah, and we have a melon festival in Khiva. So, and you know, we have a pomegranate festival in Kashkadarya. So we have those festivals. We are holding them regularly, and this is the problem is linked to the previous question about the calendar and announcing it beforehand. So we have to make sure that these festivals are promoted, and the information is available online. Information is available for tourists. This is the main problem we have now. I mean, that's let's say that's a job we have to do basically. But regarding the festivals, we few years ago we have developed a slogan, Uzbekistan, the country of festivals. So within this line, we do already have small festivals, and we are planning to increase the number of festivals as they help to bring tourists to more remote areas of Uzbekistan. And hopefully we'll make sure that information is available online digitally and is available in English beforehand, maybe a year or even a year before the event.
That's
so
fantastic.
Hopefully that will help.
That will be very helpful for everybody. I think we probably have time for about 2 more questions. So there is a question here for Zarina, and that is, will the yurt camps in Navoi be reopening for 2021? And are there any changes you expect to the stays there due to COVID-19? So that is a question for Zarina from Navoi Tourism. We may have lost Zarina. In which case, is there anybody else? Perhaps Jamshid, do you know anything about the yurt camps? Will they be reopening with additional measures?
Yes, there is. I would like to actually start with a new trend because we are one of the companies who are mostly concentrated on the tailor-made tourism. Yes, with a specific approach to tailoring each tour. We already noticed that there is a more and more request for the so-called social distancing tours, which include the remote locations. Those also include the deserts, like the yurt camps. This includes the mountainous regions for the soft or harder hiking and even overnights in the villages. And they also include some requests for the bird watching, which was already mentioned. For the bird watching, there are 3 major locations which are interesting for the enthusiasts. It's Sudoche lake in Karakal, Pakistan, actually very close to Moynaq. It's a beautiful place. It's very remote, really difficult to get there, but it's worth to go there because it's a place where flamingos make a stop, and it's a pink flamingos. So it's one of the rare places for them. There is another major spot. It's Aydarkul Lake, actually where one of the best yurt camps is also located. Sophie was there. It's not far from Nurata. So regarding the yurts in Navoi region, but also in Karakal, Pakistan, we constantly speak with our partners, subcontractors, both in yurts and other locations. And of course, they themselves are now preparing for the next season, hopefully. There are strict regulations and recommendations provided by the Committee for Tourism Development, but also by the sanitary inspection. But plus we, tour operators ourselves, we provide our own instructions for the accommodations, including yurts and hotels and guest houses, because our partners from Europe and abroad also have their own operational procedures related to the COVID safety. So yes, everybody in the sector is being prepared. Some of the hotels, not some, but most of the hotels are already prepared. So we already started tours in October, actually. We had already some tourists from America, from other countries, and they're quite happy with the new standards, and they praise them very highly. So as for the festivals, Sophie, I must say that some of the festivals have more or less fixed dates. Not all, but some of them, major ones, have, for example, Sharq Taronalari in Samarkand, it's always the last week of August, always. The Maqom festival, which I mentioned, I think the tradition is the first week of September. Half Marathon in Samarkand is the first Sunday of November. So there is more or less so-called calendar with the fixed dates, or at least weeks. The Boysun Festival in Surkhandarya, which is another unique occasion, is end of April. Or Spice and Silk Festival in Bukhara, it's last week of May. So we tour operators know those days, more or less. So when we deal with the requests, we can advise.
I think one of the things that has come across from hearing you speak and also hearing Sanjar speak is that the tour operators quite rightly know better than anybody else what is happening, and they know earlier. So if you are thinking about going to Uzbekistan, if you are looking for tourist information, actually the tour operators are going to be your very best resource and your very best friend for that. The last question that I think we ought to answer is from John Adler, and it is about combining Uzbekistan with Tajikistan on a trip and how easy that is to do. I'm actually going to answer that myself because although Uzbekistan obviously is my first love, I spend a lot of time in Tajikistan as well. And I know Mr. Azamov has recently been in Dushanbe with the tourism committee there, and we are looking to strengthen cross-border tourism between Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, not least because Uzbekistan is much better connected in terms of flights. So if you are interested in visiting Tajikistan, it makes sense to fly on an Uzbekistan Airways flight to Tashkent and then go across the land border to Tajikistan. Because diplomatic relations between the countries are generally good, there are a number of different border crossings, and the easiest way to get from Uzbekistan into Tajikistan is to go to Samarkand and then across to Penjikent, which is in the sort of western side of Tajikistan. It's only a few hours drive. The road is generally very good, and the border crossing has been consistently open for several years, and we expect it to remain so. There are also crossings in the Fergana Valley and further south in Uzbekistan as well. So it is easy to go back and forth. Uzbekistan obviously is visa-free, so you don't have an issue about going into Tajikistan and then coming back again with your paperwork. There is an e-visa for Tajikistan, and that is now available as a multi-entry visa as well. So it's become much more easy than it was a few years ago. And I would certainly recommend going across the land border rather than trying to fly between Tashkent and Dushanbe, which is a very short journey. And it's easier and more interesting to drive through the country and see the landscapes in both countries. Right, I think we've got pretty much to the end of, one question has just popped up about direct flights to the cities of Uzbekistan, including Samarkand and Bukhara. Will we have more of them in the future? I think this is a question for Otabek, if you are there still.
Yes.
Are we going to see more direct flights from abroad to Samarkand and Bukhara?
Yes. Well, actually, as was mentioned before, we start 2019 with very big progress. We had very good year in 2019, and we had also the plans to open the new destinations and direct flights to such cities, Samarkand, Bukhara. But we hope once the situation will be normalized in 2021, and the Samarkand airport also, it's under reconstruction, will be ready, fully ready in 2021. I hope in the future will be opened those routes. But meantime, we have now the domestic flights between Tashkent, Bukhara, Urgench, Nukus, and the Fergana region.
That's excellent, thank you. And I understand that normally, I know this isn't Uzbekistan Airways, but Turkish Airlines does fly into Samarkand. So from the UK, you can go via Istanbul to Samarkand if you do not want to go via Tashkent.
Yeah, and by the way, we have also the flight from between Istanbul to Samarkand.
Great.
Just for information.
Yeah, we also have six international airports under a blue sky regime. So we definitely will see more flights coming directly to other cities, and we are looking forward that this will help to ease travel of various citizens of various countries to Uzbekistan, and directly to Urgench, to Nukus, to Termez, Karshi, Bukhara, Samarkand. Yes. So the air is now being liberalized. So we are expecting help from foreign carriers so that they will fly directly there.
Thank you very much to everybody who has participated this evening, to our excellent speakers who've given us very interesting presentations and answered a huge range of questions in great depth. But also to those of you who joined the audience and asked your questions and listened so attentively. I think it's been a really excellent session. If you would like to learn a little bit more about Uzbekistan, I can also recommend joining the Tashkent International Tourism Fair, which is going to be happening from the 11th to the 13th of November. Normally that would be a physical event in Tashkent, but this year it is online, so everybody can listen to the sessions and participate. And if you look at the Uzbekistan.travel website, you'll be able to find the link to the tourism fair and sign up to register. Thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you in Uzbekistan in 2021, and hope we can all travel very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.